Hi YouTube, welcome to another Punishing Great Raven video. Now if you're wondering if you should be building A rank Watanabe, how do you build him and how he plays like, well this is the video that you want to be watching. Now while you're at it, if you found it useful, do spread the love to more awesome people like yourself by liking the video and subscribing to the channel to support me, and I'm trying to get to a 1000 subscribers. Appreciate that. Astral Watanabe Spotlight. Let's go. Alright, Astral Watanabe is an A rank Dark Elemental construct who is supposed to be an S rank prior to the actual release. Therefore, he has the stats of an S rank construct, which is definitely good news as we can farm for his souls in the interludes to power him up. First up, going through his skills and abilities, his Red Orb Comet Tail hops back and does a fan-shaped attack in front of him. Triggers Trail Blade after the attack. Trail Blade is a special attack of his that changes his basic attack after using a red orb or dodging, and it does physical damage. One thing to note for him is 3 pings for any skill will deal dark damage instead of physical damage. Next we have his yellow orb Celestial Centrifuge. It's a spinning attack that does physical damage. The thing about this skill is that it has a rather long animation time. However, if it goes through the whole duration, it does more damage than his blue orb skill, which I'm going to talk about next. Meteoric Strike is a quick dash attack that allows him to teleport behind the enemy, so in certain situations it can be used as a dodge. This mechanic is also present on his dodge, as is similar to his other version of himself, able to dodge through enemies. This is something to get used to if you are going to be using him. So here is his basic attack and Trailblade description. Now his signature move Supernova does AoE around him for dark damage. The next few skills are pretty straightforward. Going to the core passive, Cosmic Wave. Pinging a red orb after any 3 ping will change his red orb attack into a shadowy attack that deals dark damage. He then enters into a shadow form which adds dark damage to his basic attack and Trail Blade attacks. You will see a sword that appears below him that acts as a timer for this mode. After using a 3 ping, there will be a dark aura around him, which is an indicator that the next red orb will trigger this core passive. Now he has a good leader skill for dark teams. SS rank allows him to do more dark damage after a blue orb. Now if you have noticed earlier, his blue orb is his lowest damage skill. However, this skill will probably bump up the importance of blue orb. For example, making it the QTE slot for your Da Vinci support. Triple S rank unlock this next passive, which increases damage done to units hit by Trailblade. There isn't a timer shown here, so if anyone knows how this translates, do let everyone know in the comment section down below. Appreciate that. And lastly, SSS plus, Triple S plus, increasing dark damage by 20% during his core passive. This is going to be a significant increase to his DPS as his core passive is relatively easy to trigger, and it'll probably be a matter of time till you get him to Triple S if you farm for his shards diligently. Moving on to his weapons, but before that, I'm gonna put it out there that if you are free to play and want to potentially get all the S rank characters in the future, you probably shouldn't be looking at pulling for any 6-star weapons. If you get a monthly, maybe you can have some leeway. So comparing the 2 weapons, skill for the 5-star is after consecutive 3 pings, all damage increases by 15%, so it's either dark or physical, whichever, right, for 5 seconds. While for the 6-star, increases all damage by 10%. Now there is a second part to the 6-star, but I'm going to break this down further. The 6-star loses out by 5% here, but it happens all the time. To trigger the 5-star has a lot of RNG to it, and realistically, the uptime for that is probably around 20 to 30%. Of course, this depends on the duration of the run, and I'm talking about a long fight. Short fight wise, it might not be that big of a difference. Second part of the 6-star, it gives 10% more dark damage during his core passive. Now core passive uptime is one of his main gameplay, so it definitely has a much better proc chance and therefore uptime. Cosmic Wave lasts for 5 seconds too, so it's pretty similar in terms of duration. Gameplay wise, if I'm min-maxing, for 5-star weapon, you want to keep track of your 2-3 pings and use that window to do as much burst as you can. It is slightly harder to keep track of compared to the 6-star, as it's very obvious when you're triggering the core passive. Also for the 6-star, bursting after the core passive also will bring up dark damage numbers, so it will work quite well if you are into stages whereby it's weak to dark. Now let's take a look at his memories. He does best with a 4-piece Pathlon, which is the vulnerable memory for this event, and a 2-piece Darwin, Corti or Einsteinia. Personally, I would go with Darwin for general users, Corti if I want more signature moves for probably Warzone, Einsteinia I would prefer to put it on my QT units. Now looking at the Pathlon, 2-piece gives a buff to physical and dark damage attacks. Now 4-piece summons a dark zone that lasts for 5 seconds at a 20% chance when attacking. This dark zone inflicts a corruption debuff on the enemies for 3 seconds. While attacking a corrupted enemy, there is a 20% chance to gain a random orb, and this has a 12 seconds cooldown. Lastly, corruption also does a 80% dark damage every 2 seconds and reduces their dark resistance. There seems to be a lot going on with this memory, and I would say that there's a lot of RNG involved here. Given the random chance of the zone happening, how long the enemy has to stay within the zone to keep corruption on it, and 20% chance of getting an orb. Now each of this has quite a bit of difference, so to keep it safe, I would say you want to burst only when the enemies is within this zone. Alright, so here's 2 things to consider if you should want to build Astral Watanabe. Number 1, do you want a dark team now? Okay, so Luna is the next dark DPS which will probably come in a year's time. So having a dark team now will definitely help. However, the downside to that is in terms of resources. Having to invest not only in him and S Kamui, but also their memories might be pretty tough on most people. The last thing you want is a half-built team which isn't going to be that effective. So definitely consider this. And number 2, do you want to eventually potentially skip Luna? Why am I saying this is because looking at the event schedule now, it seems that we are following not China, but Taiwan timeline. I'm not sure how it will play out in the future, whether there will be changes to that or not. But as of right now, we might not be getting a 3 months time for every S rank character. This is another topic on its own, so that's why I'm putting out here that we might need to skip certain S ranks to get those that we want. And that makes skipping Luna a very viable choice. As mentioned earlier in this video, A Watanabe is created to be a S rank character, meaning he is as strong or close to that. Given that we can farm for his souls in the interludes, and also having an easier chance to pull him along with other S ranks, it makes him much easier to max out. So this is something really important. Alright, there you have it guys. Do leave a comment in the comment section down below what you think of Astral Watanabe, and if you have found this video useful, do drop that lovely like of yours and subscribe to support the channel. Alright, stay safe and I'll see you in the next one.